I'm gonna tear up a dance floor, dude. Check it out.
I really like the movie Ex-Machina. I think what really hits it home for me is that it's not only a good movie, but I feel like when we were talking about movies surrounding androids, they can easily fall into tropes. And I think Ex-Machina is able to surpass those tropes. It's a great movie that I still think about, even months later after watching it. You know what I also think about? The terrible knockoff I watched the next day. Uncanny is a 2015 science fiction movie starring Lucy Griffiths, David Clayton Rogers, Mark Webber, and Dwight from The Office. Like Ex Machina, it begins with a similar premise, with a protagonist tasked with identifying if an android made by a reclusive billionaire is any different than a conscious human. While the similarity is really funny and the premise for this video, I think the actual intent and development of the movies go in very different directions. Along with that, Ex Machina was produced on a $15 million budget. Uncanny's budget may have not even crossed $1 million. Comparing these movies from a certain point of view is completely unfair. But despite that, I think comparing them can give some insight on movie making decisions and what people should consider when creating their own works of art. I think the most noticeable similarity of the two movies is their similar setup of their protagonists. Both are characters tasked with differentiating the difference between an AI and a real human, and what point an artificial intelligence must reach to be considered conscious. Both of them fall in love, or some twisted version of love, throughout the story. One key difference is that while Caleb Smith will fall in love with the AI itself, Joy from Uncanny instead falls in love with the AI's creator. In Ex Machina, you can wonder if Caleb Smith, played by Domhnall Gleeson, is maybe not the highest moral character. It's unclear what exactly goes on in his life outside of this movie, and you don't really know if you could trust him to oversee this highly important task. Your suspicion towards him matches an overall suspicion that you feel throughout the movie. In contrast, the star of Uncanny, Joy, is not really under moral scrutiny. She seems like a rather rational and nice person. So as the plot continues and bad things happen to Caleb Smith and Joy, with one you're wondering how you should feel about it, but with the other you just don't feel the same way. The prime conflict of both movies is whether the AIs are able to be indistinguishable from humans, and furthermore, whether they deserve to be treated the same as a human. Ava, the robot in Ex Machina, is basically human in the way she acts. She seems a bit odd from being in isolation, but for the most part, if she was let out into the outside world, she would be able to get around just fine. While watching the movie, you could honestly forget that she is an android if you can ignore the mechanical body. Adam, the AI in Uncanny, comes across as sociopathic. Throughout the movie, he illustrates little to no emotion, frequently commits acts that violate the other character's privacy, and shows a total disrespect to the female lead. Not only does the thought of him being an AI never leave your mind, you don't think he can join society at all. In fact, he comes across as a danger to society. In order for your audience to believe the question your movie is built on, you have to illustrate why the AI depicted in the movie could work in society. In Ex Machina, a feeling of dread is built over Ava, the way she acts, the way she talks. You could not tell the difference between her and Caleb. Uncanny, in contrast, draws attention to the fact over how different Adam is in comparison to his creator. A fundamental plot point is Adam's jealousy towards his creator after Joy realizes she would much rather hang out with the normal human over the weird robot. If you want your movie to work, you have to build up your central conflict of the movie well, so you can't have your question be easily answerable by the plot of your movie and for your characters. Let's move past that though, and focus on the world which is set up within both movies. In Ex Machina, our protagonist, Caleb Smith, is brought up to the far-out retreat of multi-billionaire but wannabe dude bro Nathan Bateman, played by Oscar Isaac. In Uncanny, the creator of the robot is a man by the name of David Crescent. The characterization of both of them is interesting. Nathan is inherently delusional. His intelligence is clearly there, but it's mostly blocked behind a persona of being a drunk and having a massive ego. Once again, you worry about this man being in control of a piece of technology that can cause such massive change. David, on the other hand, seems like a pretty reasonable and normal guy. He builds an actual romantic relationship with the protagonist over the movie, which on the surface level seems pretty positive and healthy. What is weird though is that David's normality does not really match up with the machine he has created. David seems to mostly ignore and disregard Adam's odd behavior, even as it starts putting our protagonist in danger. Stories are complex things, and each individual part is a puzzle piece that you have to fit together. David's personality, his likability, just doesn't really work within the world that has been set up within the story, and before long, his likability transitions to just pure negligence. Earlier in the video, I talked about how bad things happen to both our protagonists. To talk about those bad things, we have to talk about the endings of these movies. Ex-Machina's ending is a payoff to everything we've built up throughout the movie. It isn't a warning about the danger of AI, more so it is a reflection of the suspicion and uneasiness that has surrounded the whole story. Ava not only escapes the facility, but escapes the controlling aspects of her life, escapes the movie world and enters the real world. This freedom comes at the cost of Caleb Smith's, leaving you wondering whether her freedom is deserved. Uncanny's ending is just a twist. It is revealed in the story that Adam is not an AI, but rather the creator of the AI, being David Crescent. David Crescent is the AI, the presumed human being Joy has fallen in love with. The twist is thought-provoking if you ignore some basic things. First of all, Adam has and never really does come across as human. It's unbelievable, to say the least, for the movie to claim that he was human the entire time. Twists are usually built off information the audience is given, but when you give the audience no info that preludes to the twist, it doesn't really feel earned. For example, even in Ex Machina, they kind of do this with a less impactful twist. Before Caleb reveals his plan to Bateman, he does his plan. He does the plan he says he was going to do. We as the audience do see him do it, but there's no indicator of what he was doing before he reveals it to Bateman. When it is revealed to Bateman that Caleb has already acted out his plan, we get the satisfaction of knowing what his previous actions were for. The twist in Uncanny is not telegraphed at all, meaning it does not result in a satisfactory feeling. You feel like the logic the movie has been based on has kind of fallen apart, and you don't believe in the twist that they sell to you. It just doesn't work. Uncanny and Ex Machina have a lot of similarities, but what makes them stand out is their differences. The biggest similarity is the theme that they present is quite similar. The use of artificial intelligence and the manipulation of love. What is different is the execution of those themes. Ex Machina's scope goes beyond androids. It has to do with relationships, female freedom, and the drawbacks of ego-obsessed, ignorant tech CEOs. Uncanny is singularly focused on androids and the coming of conscious AI, and yet its ideas still feel half-baked. I think it can be easy in videos where you criticize to come across as wanting to gatekeep the art people make. I want to state that Uncanny has the right to exist as a piece of art that real human beings put their souls into crafting and acting within. That being said, one of the many points of art is to learn, and what I take away from Uncanny is not some thought-provoking message on the coming of artificial intelligence, but rather lessons on the different elements of filmmaking that come together to create a full picture. I don't think the creators of Uncanny came out trying to make an Ex Machina clone, but their similarities have helped me better understand the process of filmmaking. I've gained knowledge, which I'm very thankful for, and now I pass that knowledge on to you. Thanks for watching.